Chapter 1. In the Lives of Ordinary People. By the time Titania had reached the age of 17, her body stopped growing like most fae do at her age. She looked in the mirror and brushed her wings to clean off all the loose feathers. Then she got onto her friend Sylvia's weight set, as Sylvia was training her exercise according to her doctor's recommendation. Titania then finished her exercise, as Sylvia said to her, "You look good, Tanya. You've definitely gotten healthy ever since you've been following the doctor's advice. I had no idea Agron and I were feeding you wrong with a dragonborn diet instead of the diet a fae should have. No wonder you didn't feel so good eating red meat more than once a week." Tanya then took a drink of water while her muscles felt sore from Sylvia's exercise plan. Sylvia then asked Titania to lie down as she began to knead Titania's sore muscles like bread dough. Then Sylvia said, "You sure are a lot prettier than I was when I was your age." Titania then asked while slowing her breathing, "Why do you say that when I'm covered in sweat and smelly gym clothes?" "Well, you just are. Where I came from, it was uncomely for a woman to have the strength of a dragon, let alone be raised by them. Unless I was slender as a toothpick and delicate, I wasn't beautiful. I used to be upset about it, but my dragon parents convinced me to embrace my natural strength and magic and use it to help people. And you've been the most help I could have asked for. And thanks for helping me stay in good health. With you training me physically, I never felt better in my own body. By the way, how's Agron doing?" "My companion is doing quite well, and I think he's gotten a lot better at cooking after taking Edenthiel's cooking lessons. He really does try to impress me, and I like that he puts in the effort to show he cares. I'm getting a little tingly just thinking about it. And maybe I'll surprise him with something special when he gets back from his cooking lessons." Meanwhile, Natalia was feeding Tatsu a roasted lamb and watched her devour it without any effort. Natalia then petted Tatsu on the top of her head and gently stroked Tatsu's horns. Natalia then grabbed a garden hose to clean Tatsu off as Agron came home with his bow and quiver, as well as some rabbits after Jeremiah taught him how to hunt. Tatsu then ran over to Agron and licked him in with a long, forked tongue and bayed and wagged her tail, imitating her beagle buddy Patches. Natalia then asked Agron, "Did you have a good trip today? Tatsu's been wondering where you were all day." Agron then held up 4 rabbits and said, "I think Jeremiah and I had a good time. He's a pretty good shot if I say so myself. And although Anthony offered me a spare Henry, I felt more comfortable using a bow and quiver like I did on Droxus. A 12-gauge and a pack of beagles just makes it too easy. I'd also like to make a rabbit stew tonight when Edenthiel comes over if you don't mind that." Natalia then perked up her tanuki ears and replied, "Of course I don't mind that. I actually quite like Edenthiel's company. She's really nice, and pretty much everyone in town likes her, and the sheriff sure spends a lot of time at her bakery during the lunch break. I almost thought she went to culinary school, but really, she just gathered a bunch of recipes from all the places she's been to." Agron then grabbed a glass of cold water and sat down in his lawn chair and said, "I think she just might be the best cook in town, and that's why I'm learning from her. Jeremiah and I have also grown past our differences quite a bit, and now we're pretty much good friends. Crazy to think we used to hate each other." Natalia then sat, taking a seat in her lawn chair, resting her ringed tail into jittery legs in a more comfortable position. "I'm just happy he's moved on to living a peaceful life, as with someone who truly loves him. As for me, when Titania is able to live on her own, I need to get a boyfriend. Maybe I can come in contact with some old friends like Agent Iowa and Oregon. Well, let's worry about that after Titania can fend for herself. Meanwhile, I also invited Edenthiel over because Titania needs help controlling her growing magical energy, and I don't know anything about how fairy magic works. All I know is dragon magic, and that's closely related to physical and mental strength, and a sense of honor. Fairy magic, that's way beyond my understanding, and like something from another world, both literally and figuratively. Then Edenthiel is the best person for the job. With this tanuki sense of mine, I can definitely tell her magical level is way stronger than a kind and sweet demeanor would have you believe. I guess that's one reason why you don't push a gentle person beyond the point of no return." Agron then dismissively waves his clawed hand in the air. "Well, I never do that to her, especially because she's someone I could never force myself to hate. Also, before I forget, here's month's rent. Agron then paid Natalia $500 for staying in her house with her girlfriend, Sylvia, and building Tatsu a huge version of a doghouse. Agron then quickly got in cleaning rabbits for the meat and the stew and gathered ingredients as Edenthiel requested. By the time Edenthiel had arrived at Natalia's house, she gave Natalia a good ear cleaning and enjoyed a good back massage from Sylvia. Edenthiel then let out a heavy sigh and said, "That hit the spot. My back sure gets sore from carrying cast iron pots and pans around all day and doing a bunch of housework." Sylvia then said, "I believe it, and I have no problem with helping you feel better. Mind joining me in my core workout session to build up that back strength?" Edenthiel then looked at her slightly pudgy frame before looking at Sylvia, who was built like a dragon lady behemoth. "I think I'd hurt myself if I tried your workouts." Sylvia then warmly smiled. "Oh, come on. I'm not going to make you work out wearing 120 pounds of armor and bench press 800 pounds and make you do a 2-hour session." Edenthiel then relaxes, putting her hands on her hips. "Even still, I don't think I would look good in muscles. I'm too much of a foodie and it doesn't fit my persona. By the way, can I feel your muscles?" "Sure, I don't have a problem with that." Edenthiel then ran her fingers along her dense torso and tried putting both her hands around Sylvia's arms and said, "They really are real. But I think it fits your personality better than mine. By the way, where did you learn to give such good back massages?" Sylvia then answered, "I learned a few techniques from your little sister. I'm also saving up money to take some classes at community college and become an athletic trainer. I also practice on Agron, and he sure enjoys it after a long day. And he's lucky to have you as his girlfriend. Say, you two basically live together, so why not just get married?" Sylvia then looked a little embarrassed. "Well, let's just say I'm not ready yet. And even though it may seem to lack some sort of grandiose ceremony with pretty white dresses and rings, Agron and I are still in essence life partners. And just because we're not spending every waking hour reciting romantic poetry and giving roses doesn't mean we don't love each other. After all, I have a much stronger attraction to Agron because he's a good person and shows he cares about me than I do about his strong appearance and a 1,000-pound bench. So I try to return the favor to him and show I care about him in a way he understands. I guess it's something I didn't think about before I got married, but I still love my husband anyway. I guess I'm a bit more touchy-feely, and there aren't many things I enjoy more than resting my husband's head on my chest, stroking my fingers through his hair, while basking in the glow of a television set." Sylvia then grinned, glancing at Edenthiel's slight pudginess. "I guess he has someone pretty comfy then." Edenthiel then smiled. "I guess so." The next day, Edenthiel joined Sylvia in a core workout, and by the time they were done, Edenthiel's whole core felt like jello. Sylvia then asked, "How you feeling? Abs on fire?" Edenthiel then looked at a moment to catch her breath as she was dripping in sweat. "If I do any more exercise, I might just throw up." "Good to know, and I think we should do this more often." Edenthiel then huffed, "You're just trying to get me to throw up, aren't you?" "No, I just enjoy your company. And don't be too hard on yourself because it took me years before I got this strong." "Well, I don't think I'll ever be as strong as you. Now, I think I'll wash up and spend some time with my husband." "Then you go do that. Meanwhile, I'm going to wash up and spend some time with my boyfriend." As it was late at night and everyone was in their bed, Natalia opened up a notebook and started writing down some of her thoughts. "With everything I've been through, it feels like I've changed so much since I took Titania under my tail. Yet at the same time, it feels like I never truly lost myself but discovered who I'm supposed to be. Pitted between doing the right thing and loyalty to my own nation. It was difficult, yet felt so natural to me. Despite being taught my country's ideals through my education and society, with at first made me hate Titania because of her royal lineage, I seem to have fallen in love with her as someone I truly care about. Yet to not cause a scandal, I had to pretend that I'm actually just following an assignment and not that I actually care about her. But why do I feel this way? Why do I care about people who can give me nothing in return, yet follow this path as an agent of the 50 States program for the magically gifted? Sometimes I wonder if I'm a failure and just another trash panda appearing like a polished kitsune. Do people really think I'm a better person than I really am? I don't know. But what I do know is that I care about other people a little more than I care about myself. Perhaps there's something to being a tanuki that causes me to be this way. We've always cared about those closest to us, and I genuinely volunteered to fight in the Zolshuren War for the sake of my family. But now I wonder if it was all a lie to get me to serve a war machine under the guise of caring for one's family, while none of those making the propaganda had any stake in the outcome. Sometimes I wish I didn't have a heart that feels, and that I could be cruel and uncaring to serve my position with merciless efficiency. Yet I can never force myself to be that way. I can barely force myself to hate anyone except those who are actually evil, like King Azrael and Queen Poxera. Nothing infuriates me more than seeing those I love be abused and hurt without cause. It's why I couldn't let Poxera get away with the way she treated my childhood friends and the people of this town. It's why I couldn't let Titania return to her father's kingdom. Because after having been with her for more than a year, I love her too. That applies to Edenthiel, Agron, and Sylvia as well.